Hello there, what's going on? Today we're going to look at Amazon affiliate plugins for WordPress. And funny thing, I tried to start this recording a minute ago and I accidentally did it wrong. So now I think we're going live here. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. And a lot of times what happens with, I don't know, just various problems is I'll find some solution to that problem. Like, let's say it's a affiliate plugin, so I can manage my affiliate links or Amazon affiliate plugins specifically, and then I will, buy the product, use it, and I really don't think about the problem again because it's not really a problem for me anymore. However, it is valuable to go and review the other plugins that are out there and or solutions to whatever problem you may have that you've solved or already solved or whatever. And I do the same thing with, say, like a cell phone, right? So it's actually an old phone. It's like a iPhone 10, I guess. And I got it 3 years ago and I just don't look, I don't pay attention. I don't need to know anything else about like the other phones for a few years until I have a problem with my phone and then I need to get a new one. I'm sure somehow I'm going to end up having Siri call someone, so I better put that away. So we're going to peruse a couple of the plugins out there. And funny thing, when I sent out the email this morning, one or two people sent me a note on other affiliate plugins that I didn't even know about. So I'll talk about a few plugins today: AmaLinks Pro, AAWP, and Lasso, which are three plugins that I've had extensive experience using, and these are kind of established and they've been out there for a while. So a quick preface, especially on the tool that the person mentioned to me and a few other people probably know about. One thing that I have, what is this little thing right here? Oh, this is my extra little light. Let's get that out of the frame. So one thing with new tools is you have to be cautious as a person that tests tools like myself and will recommend or talk about tools. I even have to be careful to mention or talk about tools because someone might hear me mention it, they start using it, and something could go wrong with it. For example, if I've never used it before, or even if, well, hell, if I've used the plugin, things could still go wrong. But the big problem is if it's a brand new tool or a brand new company who is pushing out a new tool, they don't have the longevity out there. And what has happened to me in the past for a service or for a tool or a piece of software, whatever, someone will approach me. Maybe it's someone I know and they'll say, hey, I have this thing. Can you help me promote it? And I'm a nice guy. And I think, okay, I'll help you promote that. And they disappear, right? Not in a malicious way. They just realize, hey, you know what? I don't want to spend time on that product or the service. And then they just quit. So I end up making a recommendation, taking time, investing time into it, and then they just stop working on it or it just fizzles out in a short amount of time. So it's a delicate balance, especially if it's a friend or something like that, or someone that I respect. And I have to say, no, I'm not super interested in promoting your thing until you have some users, you have proven that you're going to stick around and you're not just going to create something and then disappear in 6 months when it gets a little bit hard. So anyway, there's a few tools out there that I know exist. I'm not going to talk about them. There's other tools that I didn't pick because there's only so much we can cover here. So we have Mediocre. What's up? We got Embracing Nirvana, Marcus, David, thanks very much, and Adrian. So David and Adrian are moderators, are going to help keep order, and you guys have my blessing. If someone spams over there in the chat, like they put the same message in more than once, you know what I'm talking about. You can just kick them out. You can ban them from the channel. That is 100% what I recommend. So thanks 24/7 Marketing for confirming that you can see and hear me. All right. Well, let's look at a couple of the tools, and basically what we're going to do is hop into their homepage. We're just going to check it out. We're going to kind of look at the pricing, kind of look at the functionality, and the big punchline is most of the tools are generally going to be able to do the same thing. They're going to have a couple little things that they do differently. Maybe the interface is different. Maybe they decided to treat images in a certain way. Maybe they decided to have sort of universal call to action buttons, or they make it easy to change all the button text all at once. And I think they're all fine. Any of these plugins are fine. Just in a broad, like big paintbrush here, broad strokes. I'm struggling to talk today. AmaLinks Pro is probably going to be the one that follows the rules for the operating agreement from Amazon Associates the most accurately. They're really on top of it, and some of their functionality is a little less because they're following the rules in such a strict way. And I think that's a good thing because it's just not worth the risk if you're doing some little thing that is kind of against the rules. AAWP, that has a very good interface. Some people really love the way tables are put together there and the comparisons that you're able to do. AAWP doesn't seem to adhere to the guidelines as closely, which means you have the flexibility and you have the extra functionality to break the rules, which I don't necessarily think is a good thing. And if people have heard me talk about AAWP in the past, I may have said, oh, you got to make sure you're not doing anything that violates the terms, because that would be a bad thing. So some of those things would be like the star ratings, like you're not supposed to use the star ratings, or the number of reviews, which I don't know of all the functionality. So we're going to hop in and look at some of the pieces here. And Lasso seems to be a little bit more universal in the overall functionality for affiliate marketing. So it's a little easier to put in other affiliate links into the tool, but it still integrates with the Amazon affiliate, so the advertising API, Amazon advertising API. So it links up with that as AAWP and AmaLinks Pro do as well. Lasso seems to be slightly more versatile in that way, but to my knowledge, they don't have tables, which again, we're going to take a look here. I didn't cram my brain full of the full functionality. And frankly, these things could change. So you could probably do a comparison video every 6 months, and there'd be a little bit different for each of these tools. Okay. The other thing that I'll mention before we start looking is you don't need any of these plugins. You can do whatever you need to without the plugins. And generally, I recommend to people, if you don't have the budget, just use the Site Stripe functionality. That's all you need to do. Site Stripe functionality, you can use that to insert images. Sure, they're not the biggest quality, but like 50% of the people are on their phone, and it actually doesn't even matter that much, in my opinion. And you have the capability to use like native ads as well, which is good. So those are useful. Some people really like that. And then what was the other thing I was going to mention? You can also create links just using a specific format, which I don't have. I should have written it down, but you could just create a link using a specific format, and it's roughly amazon.com/ DP/ the ASIN, which is a 9-digit or 9 alphanumeric code. So it's the product digit or number, as it were, and then your tracking ID on the end. So it's roughly that. There's a couple other characters that are in there, but essentially that is how you can have a VA create an affiliate link without having access to your account or anything like that. So in a second, we'll hop over, start looking at those. Shout out to Citizen and Shahriar and Urzer, who says, you're here for the blonde. So quick note, I have been testing out just using different thumbnails where I'm not in them and I just put a little information, And then I put a female model, which is just stock images from Canva that I create for free. That's how I do all my thumbnails, and just testing it out. I'm pretty sure that it'll stop working before too long. But the fact is, if you go to YouTube and you search anything for affiliate marketing or Amazon, whatever, you'll just end up seeing kind of the same old style. And at least at this point in time, I'm having a little fun creating them. I've gotten like 5 email responses back. Like if I send the email replies, or if I send the emails out for these live streams and it's the same old like boring thumbnail, no one gives a shit, you know. No one gives a shit. But at least it's a little bit funny that I am just putting in random images, and it'll stop working in a couple weeks. That's the fun part. So, but for the few minutes that I'm creating them, it's kind of fun. Shout out to Ezoic and their Site Speed Accelerator. They sponsor these live streams and my podcast. And if you haven't checked out the podcast, Doug.show, highly recommended. It's me talking about the same kind of stuff, and we go in depth, very, very much in depth. I highly recommend the Site Speed Accelerator, and just check out the Ezoic blog. There's tons of great information. In fact, maybe we'll take a look in a second. And the other thing is, even if you're not interested in display ads, or you already have your display ads network selected, it's worthwhile to check out Ezoic, and you can just hop over there, send them a message, hop on the chat, or send them an email and just say, hey, we appreciate you supporting Doug and what he's doing out there. All right. Thank you to them. And one other plug just to a writer friend of mine. So she actually worked with me for a few years. Haley McGuire, she has some bandwidth, and she worked with me for a couple years, and she pinged me yesterday or the other day and said she had some bandwidth, and I want to give her a shout out. So if you need a writer, she's out of the UK, and she has bandwidth. So you can shoot her an email. There's not a ton of information for the kind of content that we write. There's not a specific package laid out on her site. So head to her website, which is linked in the show notes and description here. And you can just send her an email. The information's there, and let her know that you found her through me, and she can let you know exactly the sort of packages and writing that she can do for you. So thanks to Haley. All right, now I'm going to try and share my screen, and we're going to look at AmaLinks Pro. All right, I can do this. I set it up earlier. Boom. All right, so now we're over here on the other screen. And let's just see what they have on their homepage. We have a little clickbait kind of style up here, which is 386 increase in Amazon clicks almost instantly. Definitely clickbait there. As we scroll down, and I interviewed the one of the creators over here. That is Matt Allen from Dumb Passive Income. So you can see his interview on my channel here. And one thing I always like, we're not going to watch the demo here. All right, you can do image links, you can do text links, call to action buttons, and we can do product showcases, and they have tables as well. So they have tables, which is sort of a key thing. All right, I'd love to, and we got Spencer Hawes plugging it here, Bonnie W. I want to get down to sort of the pricing area really quick, because I know that is a big thing for a lot of people. All right, and I'm trying to get to the pricing. Is it even listed anywhere? How do we do that? Okay. All right, we'll go to the features. Oh, it must be in the buy now section. So I'll go ahead and open that up. And there are links for each of the tools we're going over. And if you have a specific question, do let me know. I'll probably hold a lot of the questions until the end, unless it's completely relevant, but I can certainly field certain questions for the certain tools we're looking at. Okay, so we have the pricing options here. So we have for one site here, right? So we're looking here for one site at $67 or $127 for the basic. Premium is $197, and then the platinum is $797. So typically, right, so what we're looking at, the big difference here is how many sites you can install this plugin on. So for $67, it's just for one site, but it's for a year. For 3 sites, it's $127, so the price per site drops by something like, is that close to 50%, I guess? 40 some odd percent. And then you jump up to premium, which I think is the most popular. I'm not 100% sure, but as I have chatted with people, because a lot of people do have more than 3 sites. A lot of people have more than 3 sites. All of them have basically the same sort of functionality. So it's really just the same, except for the number of sites you can put it on. Of course, you have these 2,800 niche ideas here. All right. And Shahrir says, is there a lifetime deal? And yeah, so this platinum is the lifetime deal. So that's $800, which is, roughly 4 years, but it's unlimited. So you can put it on unlimited sites. You get the priority support, of course, which I think basically you're going to get a ton of support. Like when you send an email, it goes directly to the creators and the developer. All right. So the lifetime plan here, so $800. Okay. So that's roughly the pricing. And then if we go back to the features here, so there's a lot of these product boxes and stuff. So we'll look at a demo for each one of them. And these are the feature boxes. So you'll notice things like these on something like the Wirecutter. And one of the cool things, and I'll tell you stuff that I don't like about certain plugins too. So that is one thing that you could count on. Okay, so as we see here, we have a lot of different options. There's obviously images, and multiple images can be inserted. They have Amazon compliant pictures, the Prime eligible badge, and that sort of thing. Okay, great. And if you don't have the Amazon advertising API, that is okay. So they have certain features around that. I think there's a little bit of a different workflow, but the fact is once you get a little bit of traffic, you should be okay. So you can do most of the things here without API access. So there are, these 3 things that you can't do, and that is worth checking out if you don't yet have the API access. And I'm going to show you a couple of the really cool things. So we have the drag and drop table builder. So the table's pretty nice, and I think the simplicity is good. There's not too much in here, and you can drag and drop and reorder the columns. You can add and remove the columns. And if you remember the recent interview I did with Mushfiq from the website Flip, super popular, he mentioned in his tables, he basically just has 3 columns. So there's plenty of room, even on a mobile device, for the tables to be shown. And I want to get to one of the feature boxes here. This is a long table, because the feature boxes, I think, are probably the best thing for all of these plugins. That is probably the most important thing. All right, let me get up to the demo so we can see. Yeah, the feature box basically calls attention to the product and all those details. And each of the products that we're looking at here, AmaLinks Pro, AAWP, and Lasso, have feature boxes. And you'll notice they have kind of their own style. And I think the cool thing I'll actually show you, if you like the style, and hopefully these plugin creators won't get upset at me, but what are they going to do? I'm calling attention to their plugins. But basically, if you do like the style of a specific feature box, you can probably just create the CSS on your own and have that feature box. It is remarkably easy to do, and you could probably hire a CSS developer or just a web developer to do the CSS, and they could probably do it in like 15 or 20 minutes, because you just go to a website, look at what they're doing, and then you can emulate that. You may have to change a couple little things here and there, but it's pretty universal. I don't know how to do it exactly, but I've played around with CSS enough to know that you can tweak these things. So I'm pretty sure, if you look at, say, some of these feature boxes, the way these companies designed it, you can see that they probably used a starting point of the Wirecutter feature box and then just ported it over. So you can just copy the CSS, is what I'm saying. All right, so that is just a fact, and it's something that you could look at, which I'll show you in just a second. All right. 24/7 Marketing says, is there any plugin that will do a comparison from different sites? Sort of, yeah. So there's a couple plugins that will do it. I believe that Content Egg, which I've never used, can do that. If you use Lasso, you actually can put 2 buttons in there, and one of them can be the other tool or the other affiliate program, like Walmart. However, you might not be able to pull the pricing. So to my knowledge, you wouldn't be able to pull the pricing. If you use a tool like Genius Link, there's choice pages. So if you use a choice page from Genius Link, it does exactly what you're talking about, 24/7 Marketing. You can pull in, B&H Photo, Amazon, Walmart, any of the plugins or any of the affiliate programs that they support, and there will be a comparison for you. So we could take a look at that too. All right, let's look at this demo for AmaLinks Pro, and then we'll move on to AAWP. So please tell me there's actually a demo in here. All right, great. So here's what the feature box looks like. The thing I don't like about this feature box is all this text here. This is essentially pulled directly from the listing. And sometimes these are really fucking long, and it doesn't make sense to have all that in there. It's not uniquely written or anything like that. So I don't like having all of that. Further, by default, it does pull in this whole title, which also can be a little verbose. There could be keyword stuffing happening, and just it could be too long. So I don't love that. I believe both of these things are configurable, so it's not like it's permanent. However, and actually, I don't know if you're able to like pull it out by default and never show it and then just have a minimal design. Oh, we have AmaLinks Pro in here. AmaLinks Pro is in the chat, so people do read the emails. That's cool. All right. As we're moving on, we do see this pretty sweet demo of the comparison table. So this is pretty amazing, and you have the ability to add columns, remove columns. So for me, I'd probably remove a couple things. I do like the button in there. The image is nice. And I know from Mushfiq from last week, he says he does like to have the image, the name of the product, and then a call to action button. So I think those were the 3 columns that he mentions. If you click that, you can get a little bit more information here, which is kind of cool. So if someone does want to see more about that specific product, and all of this is configurable. AmaLinks Pro mentions every element can be toggled on or off, and the product showcase boxes are fully customizable, so you could change the image or the text. And I wish the other plugin owners would hop in here too, so I don't have to think as much and I could just watch the chat. Super helpful. Thanks, Matt or Alchemy, whoever's over there. All right, cool. So this is pretty awesome for AmaLinks Pro, and honestly, one of the reasons why I am talking about them first is I like this plugin the best. So I'll play favorites, and I'll also beat them up a little bit. Check out some of their case studies here. I'm an affiliate for all the products, which is clearly listed in the links below. So I get a commission if you sign up, and gosh, I sure do appreciate it. All right, AAWP. So best WordPress plugin for Amazon affiliates is their tagline here. Let's take a quick look at their pricing. So I know, honestly, pricing shouldn't be the number one driver, but I know as bootstrappers, as you know, we're trying to get our businesses started and we're trying to keep expenses low, that it is a fact of reality. You know, we just got to keep this in mind. Okay. So this is, I believe it's a German company, and they have a similar sort of pricing plan to AmaLinks Pro. So can we put this into US dollars here? All right, we'll just have to make an estimate. We'll just have to guess a little bit. And I'm guessing the pricing is pretty darn close to AmaLinks Pro. For the $49, I'm guessing that is roughly in the low 60s or something. You get it on one site, core features, 1 year of updates. All right, cool. And we have the Plus. You can put it on 3 sites. It's $129 or euros. And I'm guessing, someone could check my math out there. I'm guessing it's like 150 some odd dollars. Then the Pro, you get 10 sites. The Ultimate, you get 25 sites. And there's no lifetime on this situation here. So you do have to pay. And I guess we can see here, the Ultimate for 25 sites is probably going to be, what is that, 400? So that's going to be fairly expensive. That's going to be, if I'm doing the math right, it's going to be like $500 or so for 25 sites. And you can get the premium of AmaLinks Pro for 25 sites, and that is significantly cheaper if you're just looking at a price basis, which again, I don't think you should choose the tool based on the pricing. You should look at the value overall. All right, and Citizen Chug does mention, let's pop this up on the screen. If you don't have API and you use Gutenberg, AmaLinks tells you just to copy the site stripe code and insert it on your page in the code editor mode. Okay. And AmaLinks does mention, and you can use the high converting product boxes, the product tables in Gutenberg to increase your earnings. Okay. And quick note, just on a personal note, I don't like Gutenberg, and I recommend just generally I wouldn't use it unless for some reason you have to. It's a little bit slower to use. There's a lot of extra code in there, and you want your site to load fast. So I would stay away from Gutenberg just in general. I don't know if that hoses the discussion here, but in general, I don't like it. Who uses Gutenberg out there, by the way? You can just let me know in the chat. So for one site, AAWP is roughly the same as AmaLinks Pro. For multiple sites, AmaLinks Pro appears to be cheaper. Let's look at some of the features for AAWP. So we have up-to-date information, customizable, blah, blah, blah. Promote Amazon's, okay, these are kind of generic. So you can do text links, of course. You can have single or multiple product boxes, which is very nice. You can have the best seller list, which is not technically a table. However, if a person is on a mobile device, many times, like the feature boxes will end up stacking on each other if you put them in a row. So you don't get a table, but you kind of potentially can get a simulation of that. They have new releases, you have data fields that you can manage specific product information, and they have widgets. They do have short codes and some other functionality here, which we're not going to go too deep into. They do have a lot of, what do you call it? It's like short code functionality. So I haven't used AAWP in a while, but the last time you essentially were using short codes. All right, see if there's anything else. They have pre-built templates and styles, which is nice, so you don't have to come up with anything on your own. They have a 30-day guarantee, which is nice. All right, let's check out a demo. right here. So here's the widget over here. So you can do a little widget action, and I don't know if they can do floating widgets. Here's the comparison table. So the table does allow you to add a lot of different information. They have the Prime logo, which to my knowledge, Amazon doesn't like you using their their trademarked information. So I don't think that's allowed. It does pull the pricing via the API, so it's okay to have the price here. And I mean, generally, I like the way these tables look. I like the way the tables look, but again, if you're able to put in a Prime logo here, I mean, you can get yourself into trouble. And the problem is, if someone's just getting started and you don't realize that that is violating the terms of service, the operating agreement from Amazon Associates, then you can get kicked out and there's nothing you can do about it. Francis asks, can you use AAWP on 100 visitors every day? Sure. Yeah, there's the number of visitors, to my knowledge, is not relevant. I gotta swallow. Oh man, sorry. Gotta mute. That went down the wrong pipe. All right. And AmaLinks Pro does confirm that you are not allowed to use the Amazon Prime logo, which is not surprising. And can you explain why you're allowed to use your own like custom Prime tag? So AmaLinks Pro has a display of, they mention Prime. Let's see. Yeah, so we see Prime in blue writing, but it doesn't have the little checkbox thing, the little check right here. And that's the major difference. Is a different font as well. So if you look here, there's too many tabs here. I can't follow along. So this Prime is Prime eligible, but that's compliant. So as we look here, we're scrolling down, and actually this little logo right here, if we were to zoom in, that little A logo with the arrow, I don't think you're allowed to use that either. But basically any of the branding for Amazon, like, you're not allowed to use. You're just not allowed to do that. Okay, moving on. AAWP has these pretty nice product boxes. So we have this style here, and then we have this one here. Again, we have the Prime logo and the other logo going on. I think this is a great example of this is not a good title, right? This is the exact thing from it's the exact title from the product. So you end up with just keyword stuffing, everything's in there, and I would prefer just to see the simple title. I think these are pulled from the product as well, which I think is customizable too. As we scroll down, they have a couple different styles, a little shading and shadowing and some other stuff. You have data fields that you can sort of configure and build your own comparison table. This is all time consuming, by the way. That was one of the things that I noticed. When you're building, if you were building a table like this, it's going to take you a little while to do, especially if you're pulling in the exact things. And I think that's one of the advantages that Mushfiq gets by just keeping a table very simple. All right, so those look pretty good. Now let's look at all the available templates really quick. So the default, they have some grids, and they tell you the short code to use for that. You can do lists, and you have these little banner deals up here. Okay, great. Now let's look at Lasso. So they have, let's see if we can get to the pricing first. So Lasso pricing, $19 a month per site, and then 2 months free if you buy on an annual basis. So on the surface, right? On the surface, if you were going to get each of the or any of these tools on day one, Lasso is going to be cheaper. But the thing is, it's monthly payments, right? So if you're talking what are we talking about? So we have I think it's $240 for a year, roughly, give or take. So you're talking $240 for one site. Or if you were to get AAWP for one site, it's going to be 49 euros or 60 some odd dollars. If you get AmaLinks Pro, it's going to be $67 for one site. If you have more than one site, Lasso is going to be more expensive. Period. If you are thinking about this on an annual basis, Lasso is going to be more expensive. It's interesting to me that they picked a different pricing model that is so much different than any of the other companies in the space. That is generally, it's remarkably more expensive. It is far more expensive. So as we look through here, in general, it's branded a little bit more broadly. So when we look at Lasso, it's not emphasizing Amazon. So AmaLinks Pro, I mean, that is specifically for Amazon. AAWP, I mean, it's the Amazon affiliate WordPress plugin, AAWP. So it's literally named after that. Lasso's trying to go a little bit more general, even though it's all oriented around Amazon. So as we scroll down, let me try to get rid of this thing. So as we scroll down, we'll see a pretty nice looking display, right? So in my opinion, the feature boxes from Lasso out of the box look the best. These are just a little bit cleaner. Let me go back to the AmaLinks Pro. So this isn't horrible, but just when I look at this and I look at this one, and these are the ones that are shown to us as the demo. So this looks a little bit better than this, I think. Just a touch, and it looks like, I can't tell if that is actually the Prime logo or if it's a fake Prime logo. I can't tell. This looks like a fake Prime logo, but they're using the little checkbox and it's orange, and it looks like they're trying to make it look like it. So I think from a trademark perspective, this is kind of on shaky ground. However, it looks good. It looks real good. They have several themes, and I think so this one's Cutter, right? So this is after the wire cutter. And actually just, let me stop sharing just for a moment here, because I want to show you, I'll show you the wire cutter. Let me just pull that up really quick, wire cutter, and then we'll look at one of their feature boxes, and then you can see, oh, like they're just copying that. So I think I can hop over here again. So here's the Lasso, and then we'll do the cutter, right? So we see this, and there's a box, there's a little R pick, and then the little shading. So here's the wire cutter, and you see, the little banner, little shading around here. That you have the image and then some of the details. So it's pretty much the same. You have the same sort of style of button, though it's a different color. The buttons and the colors are all configurable, of course. So when you look here, all you got to do is go to inspect, right? So you right click, go to inspect, and then you have all the CSS for how this is created. And I'm not a CSS developer, but you can look here and get somewhere in here. So essentially, if you hire honestly a barely competent developer, you can say, hey, can you design the CSS for this? And you can point them towards the wire cutter and go to inspect. And then that is the box. Like that's it. So you have the box shadow, you have the border. So box shadow and border. And then if you hop over here, I wonder if we can get to the box shadow and border so you can see that it's pretty much the same kind of business. Lasso main button and da 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 da. So all the information is here, and the browsers need that information to display the content properly. So it is just available and it's there. So if you see a feature box that you appreciate, then you can have a developer do it for you. Okay, let's look at some of the others. So you got the flow, geek. All right, honestly, they all just kind of look a little bit the same. There's just like minor tweaks here and there. If you're using some page builder or something like that, of course, you probably can do this easily on your own. You don't need a plugin at all. Ramesh says, which one of the plugins do I recommend? Good question. Let's go through the rest of Lasso here, and then I'll answer that. All right. So you can manage all your important links in one place, so they keep track of the links. Create new links with keywords in 2 clicks. And let's see if there's anything else. Everything you need in affiliate plugins. So they got the custom link displays, affiliate opportunities, link cloaking. So they allow you to do some link cloaking, link alerts, plugin import, and click tracking. Unlimited links, da 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 da. Okay. So one thing that I will point out is that Lasso does work with other affiliate programs, and you just have to insert that link. Is that hugely valuable? Well, that I don't know. It depends on how you've built your site and how you want to insert links. So for example, on Niche Site Project, I use many affiliate programs, and for example, right, I'm an affiliate for each of the products that I'm recommending here. So I probably wouldn't be able to use AAWP or AmaLinks Pro very well to recommend these other products because they wouldn't integrate. With Lasso, I would be able to create a little feature box and recommend each of the products and have a button that I put a link in. However, the thing is, I can do that anyway. With my theme, I can create a little feature box that has a title and an image and some text in it along with a button or whatever I want to put in there. It's configurable, and it is basically built into my theme. I used the Focus WordPress theme. If you were using any theme, you could go to a CSS developer. If you wanted to learn some simple CSS, you can figure out a feature box that you like. It's very straightforward. Code it yourself, use that CSS, and then you can just put the, not even short code, but you could just put the formatting code around your content there, and you could have a feature box just like that. So overall, from a versatility standpoint, Lasso does give you that capability. Is that worth $19 per month per site? Well, I don't know, because I can do it for free or include it on my site. So for me, it's definitely not worth it. And that's up to you to decide. Okay, as we scroll down, a lot of people do ask, hey, can I use whatever plugin with the theme builders or Gutenberg or whatever? And that, I mean, basically all these companies do integrate with Gutenberg. There's basically no issue. Okay, I'm trying to see if there's anything else notable for Lasso here. I don't think so. All right. So Ramesh says, which one do I recommend? If you are into Amazon affiliate sites only, I would probably go with AmaLinks Pro. If your primary goal is around affiliate marketing, AmaLinks Pro works really well. The fact is, even if Amazon is your, I guess, secondary monetization and you were using other affiliate programs, I would probably still go with AmaLinks Pro. They have table capabilities. The pricing is better than the other tools, and they are focusing on compliance with Amazon, which is probably one of the most important things here. You don't want there to be some issue because the developers are sloppy or they just don't care. It's really good if the tool limits what you can do so that you don't violate any rules. That is super important. If, like me, I'm using other affiliate programs to monetize, I insert my Amazon links with AmaLinks Pro, but for other affiliate programs, I will just put in a button. I maybe won't have the same formatting with the feature box, but it turns out it doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't matter that much. If you are most likely working with a lot of other affiliate programs, if you think you really need, I guess, like additional tracking, because that's one of the nice things with Lasso. There's a lot of tracking within the dashboard. Now, it's really the same kind of data that you can get inside of Google Analytics, but you can get this Lasso data inside the tool, which is pretty helpful. Now, the fact is, I never really went too deep into tracking so much and over optimization. That's what I would end up doing, is like over optimizing and trying to get like the last 1% out, and it really doesn't matter. So if you're using any one of these tools, it's probably going to be fine. Lasso is going to be more expensive, just period. And I've had a few discussions with, with the founder, basically, over at Lasso, and part of the argument is, well, you should be able to make the money on the site. So $19 per month per site is not a huge amount, which is true, right? Hopefully our sites are making thousands per month. So $19 a month is a reasonable amount to pay for a tool. But the fact is, if you can get another tool for cheaper that does the same thing, I mean, I can't justify that. So overall, I have built many sites without tools, because what happens is there was one tool that I used back in the day. I think it's still around and lightly functional, but basically they stopped updating it. The founder started doing something else, and it's very antiquated. But I got burned with that because I created a site. Actually, I created a lot of sites and I used that plugin. I had a lifetime license, and I paid whatever, hundreds of dollars for it. And then they stopped updating it, and then I had to pull all that stuff out, and it was built with short code. So basically every single piece of short code, every single link I had to be manually removed. Perhaps you could have done it programmatically, but basically the plugin just shit the bed, and it was non-functional, basically. So you had to take it out manually, which sucked. And at that point in time, these plugins were not available. They weren't even around. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do as much as I can without plugins. So I just created text links, used the buttons within my theme that were available, and used the site stripe. And it was all fine. And I didn't have to rely on plugins. It was just some scripts that pulled images or links or did whatever it needed to from Amazon, and that was good enough for me. If I was a little smarter, I would have been able to add some more intelligent analytics and tracking. But again, turns out everything's fine even without that. Now, one thing I'll do, because Genius Link is a good thing with the choice pages. So marketing 24/7. Let me pull this up really quick. So choice pages, Genius Link. Let me get a demo up for you here so you can see what it's like. So this is Genius Link. I can't remember if there's a link in the show notes here, but I can pull one for you here in just a second. Because I'm an affiliate for Genius Link as well. Genius Link. Trying to get that for you, but basically the choice pages allow you to compare things. It allows the user to compare the prices. So the choice pages basically give you this right here, right? So for a specific product, you could check it out on various places and you could check the price. The cool thing is the conversion rate is much higher. So like this person, Mondo, who's a YouTuber, using choice pages allowed his income to go up 2.6% or 2.6x. And basically it's because people know that they're getting the lowest price. They're literally able to go out and check. So this is awesome. And what you have to do is put in a link, and then it sends them to a page over here, which has your affiliate links within it. So that is, whoa. So that is the reason why it works so well. So this is a perfect example here. It pulls the image. You have the various marketplaces that the user can go to, and they could check the price. You just put one link in, and this is perfect for like a call to action. So you could create a call to action button on your site, and it says, check the best price on Amazon, B&H Photo, and Walmart. Click here. And then they go to a very simple landing page where there's no distractions. There's no other shit for you to do except check the price. Highly effective. And I haven't implemented this in a large scale. I'm not a part of enough affiliate programs for enough products where I've been able to do that, but there's a few places that I've seen it work really well. Now, the other thing with Genius Link is it allows you to localize your Amazon links and send the users to the right Amazon storefront if they're located in another country. And it's worth it to note, I didn't mention it before, but all the tools that I mentioned do that. So that's the other thing. Like I said, most of these tools pretty much do the same thing. You're not getting a huge amount of functionality. This Genius Link choice page stuff is a big deal. It's fully integrated. They are working closely with the various affiliate programs out there. So it's like in compliance. Now, perhaps there's a little gray area with having other affiliate links on the same page as an Amazon link, but with that said, it is hosted over on the Genius Link side. So that is maybe giving you a little peace of mind, hopefully. All right, back to it. And let's see, anything else on the Genius Link side? Well, the other cool thing, like I talked about creating affiliate links, with Genius Link, you can just put in an Amazon link and the script writes it in the proper way. I'm trying to think if there's anything else notable. So all this is with the choice pages. So definitely worth it to check it out, and you can sign up over here at Genius Link and get this going. Like all of these tools, there's a pretty decent amount of configuration that needs to be done. If anything looks really nice and sexy, then usually you have to go and configure it, which that's another thing I'm talking about, doing a lot of stuff without actually using a plugin. Number one, is cheaper, and depending on your workflow, it could actually be faster. And I could tell you, if people listen to the podcast, or honestly, if you've heard me talk very much, I don't want to sit here in front of the computer. I don't want to keep tapping on these keys on the keyboard here. I want to go outside. We're actually supposed to get like a couple feet of snow over here, so I really want to go outside today before the snow rolls in. The point is, if my workflow is slow, then it means I have to sit here longer and wait. And it turns out the interface inside WordPress is so slow. So if I have to do a lot of work inside WordPress, it makes me sad, and I don't want to do it. It's a little bit faster if you potentially had, like I mentioned before, the theme that I use. I could put in a couple div tags around the formatting. I can create buttons really easily, and I don't have to use other interfaces that utilize these plugins that we're talking about. I can just put in a link, put in a class, whatever the button is or whatever the formatting is, and then I don't have to use another interface. Now, some of these tools do allow you to do some of that after you set it up, but I can tell you, Lasso, for example, if you want to set up a product like this book here, you have to go to the dashboard section on the admin of your WordPress, and you have to put in or search for the product, and then make some configuration changes, type in things differently if you want to, and then hit save. Where if you were just doing this in the WordPress editor and typing it out, much faster. All right. So I think I'll answer a few more questions here, and thanks everyone for hopping on, of course. And I see we do have a question from, actually, let's switch cameras here so we can just look straight ahead. So we have 24/7 marketing. Gutenberg was a disaster. The new release finally adds drag and drop for adding blocks, but you're standing on your head to do things. Yeah, I was so excited when Gutenberg came out, and then I tried to use it a little bit and then realized that it was worse than not using it. So I quickly abandoned it after, like a week. I thought it was going to be great. Affiliation Star says, can we show the Amazon logo or other merchant logos like Genius Link does? Has anyone been banned for this reason? I can't comment if anyone has been banned on that. I don't know. So, and you're mentioning that Genius Link is using those logos. So I would not use the logos from Amazon specifically. I probably wouldn't use the logos from any of the companies, but I know Amazon is probably the biggest tyrant, for that, especially with the operating agreement clearly not allowing that stuff. Now, the other thing is, you look at something like AAWP. There are many thousands and thousands of people using this plugin and probably using this Prime thing and probably getting away with it. Is that a way to run a business? No, that is not. I am very risk averse. So for me, it's not worth it to do it. In fact, well, the good thing is you can configure this stuff on the plugin. So I know for AmaLinks Pro, for example, you cannot display this Prime plugin, even though this one doesn't violate the terms because it's their own logo, and it's not even a logo, it's just a different font, and it's not trying to emulate the other. When you look at this, wherever it is, when you look at this Prime button somewhere here, so this has the check and it's a different font, but the check's there and it looks like it is trying to emulate the Prime logo. So that could be a little troublesome, but I'm not sure, but it's clearly different than the exact logo. Anyway, long way to answer your question. Can you use other logos? Probably not. Technically, those are like trademarked logos, and I bet you're not supposed to use it. And if you asked a lawyer, they would tell you don't use it unless you have explicit permission to do so. Now, a Genius link, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm friends with the founder, so I will potentially send him a message and say, hey, I have a specific question from Ronan. So people check out the podcast. I was going to say a lot of times these sorts of questions are great for the podcast. So I will note that down. Logos, choice page. That's how I'll remember. All right. Any other questions on these sorts of topics? And then I'll kind of digress, give everybody a little update on a couple things. Shout out to Niche Website Builders, by the way. They sponsor the Q&A segment. I forgot to display their little banner here because I was so excited about some of the questions that were coming in. Citizen Chug says you started your first site on Gutenberg, so you're stuck with it for that site, I guess. Yeah, I don't even know. I guess you could move over to the classic editor, but I don't know what you're left with. And that's one of the problems, right? When you start using a thing and then you try to migrate away from it and it creates a mess in its wake. I don't like that. I want it to be clean if you want to migrate and get away from it, but that's not something that they're thinking about. They just want you stuck on that platform or whatever it is. So Niche Website Builders, they have a ton of link building things that you can do nowadays. So they've added more, and they have the Shotgun Skyscraper campaign that they've been running for me for, I guess, 7 months. We're coming upon 8 months, and they've gotten me something like 83 or 93 links. I can't quite remember. And the domain rating, as reported by Ahrefs, is something like 44.5. So a lot of links, a lot of domain authority behind it. And they do a ton of content as well. So you can get 10% more content if you use my coupon codes, or you can save 10% if you get any of the link building packages. So definitely worth checking out. And they do guest posting. They have niche edits. They have a package where you can get those two together. So you get kind of a blend of what's going on. And then they have the Shotgun Skyscraper campaign, which takes a little while to ramp up, but the links that you can get from it are usually pretty amazing. I've been very impressed. Next, we have Citizen Chug says, can you modify the CTA button on AAWP? I am 80% sure, but oops, let's actually take a quick check here. I'll look on the documentation, and you could join me on this ride. So I will try to type that in. Button. Let's see what we have. I think you can. Typically, they let you modify the buttons, and it's not a hard thing to do. Data fields, blah, 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 creating an HTML table. Well, this is actually telling too, because, you know, what is it like to go through the documentation and get help and all that stuff? So they're talking about Gutenberg. All right, let's look for button. So create a button. Button in a table. Data fields. Okay. All right. Button value. Okay. So it looks like you can modify that stuff, but I'm not 100% sure. Buy on Amazon. Inconclusive. All right. Let's see if we could find this out. Does anyone know out there? Because I know a lot of people do use AAWP. Anyone know if you can modify that stuff? Product not found issue, something. Templates. So I think the templates are kind of what we're, well, maybe that's not what we're looking at all. Okay. Ya says you could change it in the settings. Okay, I thought so. So you could change the buttons for AAWP, and I think you could change the buttons for, Lasso, and I know you can do it in AmaLinks Pro as well. All right, thank you for that. And they're all in the settings. You always change that in the settings. And Merrick says, do I have an influencer shop? No. Mediocre says, when starting out, would it be wise to add product recommendations within the content and update the links after getting into the affiliate program, or save that for later? Well, why did it do that? Update the links or save the whole part for later? I think you could add the product recommendations and then, update the links after you get into the program. That makes sense to me. All right, Penny says you missed 62 minutes. Yeah, you could rewind and I'll answer a couple questions. All right, so Ronan, several people are mentioning that you can actually modify things. So awesome. Any other questions out there before we wrap it up? And I'll just chat for a second as we're hanging out. So fun thing, starting a new podcast with a friend of mine. It's going to be in the financial independence and personal finance space. And we're going to talk about a lot of other stuff, but he has a strong background in that area. And I haven't talked about it publicly yet. So this is kind of the announcement, but it's with Carl Jensen from 1500 Days. He's been on the podcast a couple times. We had a great time. I asked him if he wanted to do a show with me. So he said yes. And actually, it's been 2 shows that we've done so far. We're trying to build up a little bit of a queue. And the thing is, like, I'm going to be moving out of this office to move downstairs because we need a little more space for like a studio. So we actually did one episode in the corner over here, and we're going to publish on YouTube as well as all the major podcast directories. And it just wasn't quite enough room. And the camera works really well if it's just shooting on me like this, but with 2 people, you have to lay things out a little differently. And I'm not sure if I'm doing it the best way, but I have far more space downstairs, that's for sure. And we've been trying to make it a little more usable. It's an unfinished basement. So I am going to be working on that as it snows up to 2 feet or so here in the Front Range area of Colorado. So going to be working on that. Really pumped about the podcast. So keep an eye. I'm going to talk about it more and more as time goes on. But it should be pretty fun. And I think we're going to be able to get some pretty awesome guests. And the cool thing is I've been talking about either starting my own podcast in the financial independence space. But if I was just working on it myself, I knew it was potentially going to be a little too much work. And when Carl and I had a great time chatting, it seemed like he'd be a perfect person to bring into the mix. And the fact is, he just knows a ton of people, and he's been doing personal finance, really financial independence blogging, and he spoke at conferences, and he's a fixture in the space. He's been doing it for, roughly 7 years or so. So the same amount of time that I've been doing my blog in a completely different space. So we're bringing together our various skills and our interests, which have a ton of overlap. And he has free time because he's retired, and he's just finished up a fairly large project that he was working on. So he has some free time. And this is, I think probably one of the big creative endeavors that he's done. And I know since he retired, he's been just doing a lot of stuff around the house and fixing up his home. So he's finished a lot of that stuff, and we'll be able to talk shop and hang out. All right. We do have a couple more questions here. Oh, one more from Merrick here. So what types of Amazon ads are converting / earning the best links, banners, search, custom, bounty? So it depends on your site, and it depends on so many of those details that are specific, but generally the links, right? So it's going to be links within your content, links in tables, feature boxes, buttons, the images. The links to the specific products are probably going to be converting better than your banners, the searches, the bounties, and all that sort of thing, unless you have, for example, created a specific page that said, hey, sign up for Audible, right? So if I started promoting Audible, saying, hey, I love Audible, go sign up here, you get a free month, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's going to convert better than something that is not promoted actively. So it depends on a lot of things, but generally links to the specific products you're promoting are going to work best. Yeah, comparison table. So Payush says, should we add comparison tables? Yeah, add comparison tables. Generally, that really helps out with your conversion rates. And if you don't have a format that you're using, if you go to nichesiteproject.com/Amazon-affiliate, there's a perfect Amazon affiliate template there that you can use, give to your writers, whatever you want to do. But it tells you what to put in there. A table is one of those things. Of course, if it's a single product review, then a comparison table is, you're not going to be able to compare things, but you can still put information into a table, which is easy to look at. All right, let's wrap it up for today. Thanks, everyone. Quick note again, if you need a writer, my friend Haley, link in the description here, she is available for writing. She worked with me for a few years. She has some availability. And you could also, of course, check out the various tools. Generally, most of the time, if someone just said, hey, which tool should I use? I'm going to say AmaLinks Pro, but it depends on the specifics. And if you miss the whole video here, you can rewind and rewatch. But most of the time, AmaLinks Pro is going to do what you need. It's going to be a little bit cheaper. You're not going to violate any of the terms of service. Lasso could be a good choice if you know you're going to be working with a bunch of different affiliate programs. That's fine. If you happen to like AAWP, you could use that as well. I know it's pretty popular in certain circles. They don't seem to follow the operating agreement as closely, but they generally give you the functionality to turn off the things that violate the operating agreement. Thanks again to Adrian and to David, my kind moderators. Really appreciate the help, and we'll see you next week. So everybody take it easy out there.